Hey traders, it's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth for another daily market recap. It is Friday the 13th and we are at the end of the week, and we'll go over some charting and take a look at the weekly candle closes on SPY. In the video today, we're going to talk about the daily bounce that's still underway for the S&P 500, and we'll also touch on the short report from Citron Research about NIO. So before we jump into today's content, make sure to smash the like, hit the subscribe button, and tick the bell. You'll be notified when I go live next. We do daily market updates each day throughout the week, Monday through Friday. So let's go over some news and events. First, we saw some new lockdowns, which I'll bring up in just a second, but we did see that Trump's main advisor, is Peter Navarro. He basically said that the White House is proceeding under the assumption of a second Trump term. So they're still refusing to accept the results and they're still fighting it. So just taking a look, yet the assumption of a second term. We are moving forward here at the White House under the assumption that there will be a second Trump term. He continued to lie, saying what we seek here is verifiable ballots, certifiable ballots, and an investigation into what are growing numbers of allegations of fraud under signed affidavits by witnesses. And my own view looking at this election, we have what appears in some sense to be an immaculate deception. But if you look statistically at what happened, clearly the president won this election. He was leading on election day, and then after election day, somehow in these key battleground states, they got just enough votes to catch up to Biden, which is odd because it wasn't just enough votes. There was some states he's already got a huge lead on him already. And we're starting to see more and more of a lead each day. So it's looking more and more like he is not going to be running for another term. And they were still counting all the mail-in ballots. They weren't late ballots. They were just ballots that were mailed in advance and were sitting there until election day, and it took them a while to count them. So obviously there were some shady things going on about, deceased people voting, then more people voted in a certain state than actually live there. So we'll have to see if any evidence comes to light. But as of this article, there is no evidence of widespread fraud. In fact, a group of national, state, and private election officials called the November 3rd election the most secure election in American history. Yet Navarro continued to lie. Our assumption is the second Trump term. We think he won that election, and any speculation about what Joe Biden might do, I think, is moot at this point. So pretty funny here as well. Navarro declined to provide any proof when pressed on a legal argument. After the Fox Business appearance, Navarro also declined to take questions from reporters that were focused on executive order aimed at China. Not my lane, he said, when CNN's Joe Johns asked about the deployment of the cure. As director of trade and manufacturing policy, it is very much in his lane. So pretty funny that he's not my lane, but that's exactly what his role entails. So taking a look, Kramer on Mad Money, we saw that the black swan of Trump refusing to leave White House looks less likely, which is obviously reassuring the markets. So investors now have more certainty that there will be an orderly transition of power from Donald Trump to Joe Biden. Kramer pointed out to Biden's projected victory in Arizona an authoritative government statement defending the integrity of the election. I think that took the black swan off the table, Kramer said, and I'd have to agree with him. A lot of people were probably. But keep in mind, anything can change, and the way that mainstream media decides to frame it, it could seem a lot worse. So Oregon orders 2-week freeze across state amid alarming spike in cases and hospitalizations. And I also saw here Elon Musk said he tested positive and negative for the sickness. Here's what you need to know about the different tests. So on Friday, Elon Musk said that in one day he took 4 tests and antigen tests and received 2 negative and 2 positive results. He also tweeted that he took 2 PCR tests at separate labs and are waiting the results. Musk, who has been dismissive about the situation and its severity, tweeted that something extremely bogus was going on. The truth is, no test is 100% accurate all the time, but Musk's experience still begs questions. What are antigen and PCR tests? How accurate are they, and should we take them? Something extremely bogus is going on. Was tested 4 times today, 2 tests negative, 2 came back positive. Same machine, same test, same nurse. Rapid antigen test from BD. So you can check out this in your on your own time, but found that was interesting. So we'll see if there's any development there. Hopefully he remains healthy. President Donald Trump is projected to win North Carolina, has 15 electoral college votes. Polling averages had indicated a neck-and-neck race. Trump won the state by 3.6 percentage points in 2016. Georgia, Joe Biden is the apparent winner over Trump, the first Democrat to do so since 1992. We also saw that Pelosi insists a smaller House majority will not force her to compromise more on a stimulus bill. That's pretty much all I had in terms of economic and election updates. So let's take a look at NIO. So it's pretty funny. I was talking to a buddy of mine on the phone this morning about NIO. He said he was looking to get into it as a potential trade. And I said, it'd be extremely careful. It smells and looks and breathes just like Tesla did when it was seeing its huge run up and massive all-time high just before the share split. So, and then we see a short report come out from Citron Research. And these are things you need to start to expect to see when a stock is monthly overbought, weekly overbought, daily overbought, when it's run, 4,000%, then these are usually the times when people start to short or release short reports, right? Because obviously they have a short position, they release it at the maximum point of buying pressure, and then we know we need healthy consolidation on multiple time frames, and that's when they see follow through, and then they likely switched long. But their price target is $25, and they called it out a couple of years ago, and it was trading at $7. Said they recommended buying it as it was a charismatic leader in William Li, and China's EV market was obviously prospering, so they recommended it at $7. It hit $54 today. We'll take a look at the chart, but they said that they're vulnerable in two main points. One, Tesla Model Y, China pricing, so they're looking to get that down, and that could eat into their sales. You can take a look at this in its entirety on your own time, but that's essentially the main points here. Share structure. So while we commend Bally Gifford, love those people, and early investors, right now we are looking at a share structure and investor base that is more interested in spinning a casino wheel. While the float is open after 10 years of trading, the short interest is almost at a 2-year low. Conclusion, anyone buying NIO stock is not buying a company or its prospects. Rather, you are buying 3 letters that move on a screen. The China electric phenomenon is a real movement, but there are better ways to play it. Consider this. Blah, blah, blah. Buffett backed BYD did $22 billion in sales and trades at 3x sales even after being up 400% this year. And at these levels, NIO trades at more than 17x sales. Obviously, we will not even discuss their profitability because they're not. It is time for investors to rotate out of NIO, enjoy your profits, and look for the next disruptive technology. And I would have to agree with them. I said this to my buddy, basically just if you're going to do a quick day trade, make sure you're entering off support with a tight stop, because this could easily pull back. And that's exactly what we saw today. You can see we opened the day from the close yesterday. We were up, let's see here. Oops, oh, my bad. So the close yesterday, we were up about 11, 12%. And then in a few hours, we dropped 25%. So, and we also have EMA 12 and 26 crossing bearish here. We did go outside of the hourly Bollinger Band, so that was a nice dip to buy there. And you were rewarded heavily if you went short this stock. But essentially $50 is a nice round psychological number. We had a gap in the chart, no support. We had no real support on the hourly. And let's just take a look at the monthly chart here. So again, just looks exactly like Tesla. We were ballooning. The bubble got so big that it eventually burst. We were well outside of the Bollinger Bands on the monthly. We were 75% outside of those bands. So you know that we're due to pull back at some point. We also have earnings coming up on the 17th next week. So they're really, really going to have to crush their earnings to propel this forward higher, because when something runs this hard into earnings, to expect a huge pullback. And if earnings don't crush it, if they absolutely don't obliterate earnings, then they're going to, personally, I don't see how they could ever, they'd have to really blow it out of the water to prevent this from going down. And it's likely going to be a sell the news event, in my opinion. But obviously the short report has changed that. They didn't wait until a day or two before the earnings. They said, hey, let's do it now on a Friday. So Friday the 13th, definitely probably caught a lot of people off guard, but on the monthly chart, super worrisome here. We have a higher low every candle for the last 7 months, and we have no monthly support all the way down to about $2 range here. 211, 222. So taking a look at the weekly chart, we're in a weekly uptrend as well. We do have a mini higher low here at 25.46, but still that's a long ways away. If we decide to consolidate, that's a 43% drop from where we are now. Taking a look at the daily. So again, we're outside of the Bollinger Bands on the weekly. We were outside of the Bollinger Bands on the monthly and the daily. If you weren't taking profits, then maybe you can learn for next time, but we did set a daily higher low today. We're looking to set one, and we're bouncing off just above EMA 12 support there on the daily. But we are in a daily uptrend and just looking for a daily higher low compared to 38.11. If we lose 38.11, we lose the uptrend on the daily. So the hourly chart, let's see here. So we didn't change the hourly trend. So we need to change the hourly trend back in favor of the bulls. Once we see an uptrend, that we can be confident that the daily higher low is now set. And we did have huge sell volume on the day. That's the most volume. It looks like the most sell volume ever. See here, 570 million, 575. So the most volume, record volume day ever on the stock. So I wouldn't be surprised if we trend lower. Once this thing bounces though, this could be huge for we still didn't hit hourly oversold on that pullback. So hourly oversold could be a decent trade there, looking for an oversold bounce, but I'd be patient, definitely be patient on that. Let's see if 5-minute oversold gave us a decent bounce. Yes, it did. So we hit 44. We got 5-minute oversold after a huge run, and we bounced 10%. So absolutely volatile in both directions and plays to be had in both bear and bull perspectives. So that's pretty much where we stand on NIO. Congrats to the bears and congrats to the bulls who took profit. If you were wondering why you got smoked today, hopefully you learned a little bit from this analysis. Also, I did want to bring up a report here on, this was shared by Sam, one of our members, so shout out to Sam. It's basically just some info and future foresight into the EV industry, so the electric vehicle. So you can check us out for a 1-week free trial, and you can get access to that as well. You can join us for 1 week, no credit card required. Check out palgroup.ca or pursuitofwealthgroup.com for our memberships. So taking a look at some indices, let's take a look at SPY. So we were looking for a potential blow off top on SPY, but we're still bouncing on the daily, and we will just anticipate a daily lower high at this point. But you can see here that we did set a low, a high, higher low, and higher high. So we are back in, we're back into the daily bounce at this time, and we have a new daily higher low established at 351.26. So that's the most important short-term support on the daily. And on the hourly, you can see here we haven't set a higher low here in a little bit. So the last higher low, 351.27. So we did set a little tiny mini one here at 354.71, and we bounced off EMA 12. And we did see a little bit of an upper wick, but nothing, no major red flags into the end of the day. Up over 1%. And the volume, not the most volume we've seen, still under the 20-period moving average for volume. So not really much to report here. It was kind of a boring day today. I didn't really do much trading, had a couple of appointments and got a lot of errands completed. So that's pretty much all we have on SPY. Let's take a look at how we closed the week out. So we did close the week red, but we did bulls bought the dip and looking to save that weekly candle. And we did break to a new all-time high. So if we are going to consolidate next week, we'll just look for a weekly higher low compared to 322.60. And taking a look at the weekly chart over here, we are above the 10-week moving average. The stochastic still hasn't crossed bullish yet, and the MACD looking to cross bullish. So we'll see if we can get follow through on those indicators next week, and we're well above the 50, 100, and 200-day moving average. Taking a look at QQQ, so up almost 1% today. Lower wick, bulls bought the dip off EMA 12 support. And volume very, very low today. So that's notable. Did have a daily hammer, but volume's a little concerning at this point, but we did see more rotation out of tech today into other sectors. So yesterday, you know, tech, we saw rotation into tech, and it's just been the complete opposite. So one day it's tech, one day it's not tech. One day they rotate, and one day they rotate back. One time they rotate out, and then they rotate back in, rinse, repeat. Hourly, we did confirm an hourly uptrend with a higher low and higher high. And next resistance on the hourly is up at 292.07. But we do have a daily inside bar on watch, so it's going to be important on Monday how we open. So we'll be watching resistance today, the high of today at 291.57 and support at 287.87. So that's the most important short-term resistance and support on QQQ. Just to take a look into some other sectors here. So Bitcoin, not really much going on today. Tried to get a bull break, broke to a new high, but pulled back, and seeing a little less volume today. Volume in general just dropped off quite a bit today. And taking a look at the dollar. So the dollar is pulling back, looking for a daily higher low. Bulls still have about a little over 0.5% to see a daily higher low. So we'll be confident that that has been set once we change the 4-hour trend. But you can see we're in a 4-hour downtrend. So Bull's going to look to set a bounce and form a higher low and higher high. Once we do that, we'll be confident that the daily higher low is set. But anything above 92.13 is just a daily higher low. IWM on the daily, similar to SPY, still trying to get the bounce going. We had resistance at 173.48 and we hit 174.13 and pulled back. So rejecting at resistance. SMH, bit of a doji there on the daily, again broke to new highs but pulled back, and likely just expect a daily lower high and tightening range from this from the size of the bounce. US oil pulling back, looking for a daily higher low. We also have EMA 12 support at 39.67, so watch that for a potential bounce area. But again, we're in a 4-hour downtrend, so we're going to look to a 4-hour uptrend confirming, and then that'll give us confidence that the daily higher low is set. The VIX down 8% today in a daily downtrend, looking to potentially set a daily higher low, and most important resistance will be up at 27.27. Most important support is 22.41. Gold bounced on the daily, got above EMA 12, but pulled back and likely negated the 4-hour bear flag at this point. Just take a quick peek. We still technically could be in bear flag territory, so keep an eye on that. We're back within the weekly descending triangle as well. And I'm gonna expect a break here at some point within the next week or two, 3 or 4 weeks at the max. And if we break bearish, like I said, we don't have any support down to 1670. So that's where we stand on gold. Silver, pretty much the same. XBI, biotech sector, very close to all-time highs. Got within about 0.5% today. Bounced off EMA 12, and bulls got lots of room here. If we do pull back, we'll just be looking for a daily higher low compared to 118.86. Most important resistance, though, is all-time high at 126. XHB, Home Builders ETF, bounce continuing on the daily. XLE, bounce on the daily, looking to set a daily higher low at 32.34. Did we change the hourly trend? No, we did not. So we're still looking for an hourly trend change, as we were in an hourly downtrend, and we did technically, no, I take that back. We're still looking for a daily high or low. So most important hourly support is 32.35, and most important resistance going to be 34.52. XLF, financial sector, bounce continuing on the daily. And most important resistance is going to be up at 27.44. Most important short-term support is going to be 26.35. XLRE, daily bounce still underway. Healthcare sector broke to a new high, broke resistance at 112.16. We got a high of 112.55, but pulled back and ultimately closed under that resistance. So a little bit of a red flag there, potentially into next week, but essentially just looking to follow the rest of the market and continue these daily bounces. So that's where we stand in terms of global indices. Let's just take a look at SPXS. I was looking at the daily trend change. It was attempting, and we failed. So we're still back to looking for a daily high or low. Again, once we change the hourly trend, we can be confident that has been set. So we already did NIO, Microsoft, and Amazon. I want to keep an eye on those. So let's bring up the weekly charts. Apple still under 120, struggling at that level. Amazon still potentially within this weekly head and shoulders. Microsoft broke to a new high today. We hit 228, or this week 228.12, but could still potentially be a head and shoulders. Not as clear as the Amazon chart though. And we already took a look at NIO and Tesla, red on the week, down about 8%. Taking a look at the day today, so obviously getting hurt a little bit as well, likely due to rotation out of Tesla into names like NIO and other EV plays, but essentially just looking for a daily high or low. And we still got about 7%, a little over 7.5%. So most important daily support is 379.11, and most important daily resistance is 452.50. And we'll need to change that hourly trend. It looks like we did here into the end of the day. We had a low of 401. So most important support on the hourly and 400 psychological. We technically, I would have liked to see us bounce a little bit more. We didn't break the high here. I wouldn't consider that an hourly trend change personally. And we also have EMA 12 here that it looks like we're rejecting on. So I'd like to see a little bit more of, I'd like to see another higher low now into next week. So let's say we bounce up to 415, 420, and then we come down, set another hourly higher low around 405, 410, and then a higher high, then I would confirm that as an hourly uptrend, and we can be confident that the daily higher low is set. So taking a look through the names, NIO down the most on my watch list, Docu, BYND, still struggling after its negative earnings reaction and the McDonald's news about their own McPlant burger. Saw CWeb up over 10%, JMIA almost 10%, NKLA 8%. So again, I think money just rotating out of NIO, out of Tesla into other names, looking for some potential hype spillage. And that's where we stand. Taking a look at Canadian MJ, Namaste down 6%. Oxley leading the way up here today, up 40%, 20%, up to 40 cents. So this is just a beauty from the daily trend change back here at 14.5 cents, the low at 12.5. Once we broke that, confirmed the daily uptrend, it's just been all bulls. And we did break 36.5 cents resistance, and we have huge volume. There's got to be volume. There's got to be news on that. Not sure of any news, and it's Friday, so I'm going to be looking to close the computer. If you do know why Oxley was up double digits today, let us know. Let us know in the comments. We'd appreciate that very much. And you can see we're fairly green, mostly green across the board. Taking a look at USMJ Ian down 14, almost 15%. CWeb, like we said, over 10%. MedMen up 5%. BAM up almost 5%. So seeing some bounces across the board in US and Canadian MJ. Just want to take a quick peek as well at QQQ on the weekly. So we bounced at the 10-week moving average perfectly. We still haven't crossed bullish on the MACD or the stochastic yet either. So generally, when I like to go long a stock, I want to see all three of those in my favor and crossing bullish. QQQ on the daily, again, bounced off the 50-day moving average, daily bounce and daily inside bar underway. And MACD is crossing bullish, but the MACD or the 50-day moving average is starting to trend downwards here. If we cross through the 100, that's going to be a bearish indicator. It's not a death cross, but we are very, very far from the 200-day moving average down at 244. So that's pretty much where we stand. So again, in summary, make sure that you have a game plan. We could see more shutdowns. We could see more economic impact from those shutdowns. We could see some uncertainty in general with the election results. So just keep in mind that anything can come about, just like the NIO chart today is a prime example. It's all fun and games until, you know, you leave the computer for an hour or a couple hours and you come back and it's down 25%. So it's different if you're investing since, you know, $5 or $10. You probably don't really care if it drops $5 or $10, but just be careful if you are looking to chase names when they've already run thousands of percent. So with that, thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth. Hope everyone has a great weekend, and we'll see you next week on Monday for another daily market recap. And make sure you get lots of rest, stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourself, and just try to maintain a positive attitude. Try to keep your mind occupied. I know this weekend I'm going to be doing just not looking at the computer, just, you know, going out for dinner, doing some plans, and just trying to take my mind off of the global situation and the economy, because this can get very depressing sitting at home and stuff. So just make sure to stay in touch with friends, family, do whatever you can to keep your mind off of it and stay positive. Have a good weekend, everyone. We'll see you next week.